Okay, guys and girls, we are on page 7 in your Geometry Part 2 packet. We need to talk about a couple of terms that are going to be coming up in the next few minutes. One is the word interior. So if you look at this triangle, angles A, B, and C, they are in the inside or the interior of this polygon. So basically, I need you to understand that the word interior means inside, but if you notice, there's an angle that's on the outside of that polygon. That's called an exterior angle. So that's going to be two terms that we're going to be talking about here in just a couple minutes. What we're going to be talking about is when you add up all of the interior angles of a polygon. For example, if I gave you a pentagon and said, give me the sum of all 5 of those angles, what would that total? Well, we need to come up with a plan for that. So here's one way we're going to do that. If you would look at this, this is a rectangle, but just think of any quadrilateral. This one's pretty easy because what we know about a rectangle is that we know that all 4 of these angles add up to 90 degrees. So in other words, if we found the sum of all 4 of these angles inside this quadrilateral, all 4 angles, the measure of all 4 angles, let's call this A, B, C, and D. If we added up A plus B plus C plus D, what we would get is 360 degrees. So any quadrilateral, I don't care what kind of quadrilateral, if it's a square, if it's a rhombus, if it's a parallelogram, if you add up all the measures of the 4 interior angles, it's going to equal 360 degrees. Well, if you notice, if I cut this rectangle diagonally, I've got triangle 1 and triangle 2. I've cut that into half. So what is going to happen is half of any quadrilateral is a triangle. Well, if we take half of the 360 degrees that we just shown above, a triangle will have all 3 measures that add up to 180 degrees. And this is going to be an important rule that you'll have moving forward in geometry, especially as you get into your high school classes. I don't care what kind of triangle you give me, if it's an obtuse triangle, if it's a right triangle, if it's a scalene, the classification of the triangle doesn't matter. What you need to know is if you take the 3 angles inside of a triangle and you add those up, all 3 angles, no matter what size triangle, you will get a sum of 180 degrees. The reason for that is because every single triangle is half of a parallelogram or half of a rectangle, however you want to look at it. So if we only needed half of 360 degrees, that's going to be the 180. This is important for our next page on page 8. You need to know that all 3 angles of a triangle have a sum of 180 regardless